Hi, I'm Ian. Thanks for tuning in to Forgotten Weapons. We have a really cool machine gun for you today. We have a British Mark I Star Hotchkiss Portative. This was a .303 caliber machine gun. In various forms, these were used by pretty much everyone on the Allied side in World War I. The Americans used them, the British used them, the French used them. The Japanese actually had a copy of the Hotchkiss. They're a real distinctive gun. You might actually recognize the side of the receiver from the top of our website. So we've decided that when we open the Forgotten Weapons Machine Gun School, the final exam is going to be disassembling and reassembling this beast in 30 seconds flat, because I think this is about the most challenging thing I've yet run into, to disassemble when you don't know it. This was a gas-operated machine gun. There is actually, if we look up here at towards the muzzle end, this is your gas port, and there is actually a screw adjustable gas regulator. On the other side here, you can see the markings on there. You have like a micrometer adjustment on how much gas pressure the gun gets. And that's kind of cool. You normally don't see that level of adjustability. So anyway, fairly standard action, gas operated, so gas comes down here, there's a gas piston, cycles backward and runs the gun. Now if we take a look at the top of the receiver, you can see it conveniently says it is belt or strip fed. So the regular feed mechanism for a Hotchkiss is a strip like this, and this holds cartridges. See, this is the nose end. This is a 20 round strip. 20 cartridges fit in here, and this cycles through the gun. And when used in vehicles, this is what they were referring to as a belt. These are 3 round feed strips that are fixed together and articulate. So in the confines of a tank or an armored vehicle, you can roll this up into an ammo can for convenient storage instead of having a big long stick sticking out. This is another unusual element to it. The charging handle back here is also the safety selector. So we have safe, we have R, which is for rapid, we have A for automatic, a little bit funky. You can see why people don't design machine guns like that anymore. And of course, you have to have this weird stock with no cheek rest at all, because you've got your charging handle sticking directly out the back of the gun, right where your face is when you're shooting it. The tripod that we have on this Hotchkiss, this is a 1918 dated tripod, and this is what the guns were designed to use. It's small, but you know, it's a really neat little tripod. It's lightweight, it is fully articulated, you can go in any direction, and it does have elevation. You can raise or lower it slightly. You can lock in lateral traverse on the gun like this. Really a quality tripod. Alright, now we're going to get to the fun stuff. Let's take this thing apart. So first step, I'm going to take off the buttstock. There is one cross pin that holds it in place. Pull that out. Buttstock comes off. The next step is to remove this charging handle. So we're going to rotate this up to the disassembly position. We pull it back slightly and then rotate back clockwise. And then the charging handle assembly comes out. Next step is to remove the trigger housing and frame. So we're going to do that by removing this screw. comes out. And then to remove the lower housing, we're going to push forward so that these lugs clear their little locking shoulders, and then drop the whole thing down. Just like that. So this is about 85 pounds of metal right here. We have our sear. Recoil spring.
Okay.
In order to get the bolt out, we have to lift up on this tab, as this is part of the feed mechanism which blocks the bolt in place. There we go. And then the world's biggest gas piston. Firing pin is in the bolt here. So these locking lugs are very reminiscent of the French Saint-Étienne. I probably just mangled the pronunciation of that, but we got basically an interrupted screw of locking lugs, 5 on each side. And 3 sides there. Got your extractor and extractor spring. And this massive block of a bolt carrier and piston. Not sure why they made this so heavy, but the weight certainly helps tamp down the recoil. So there's the sear engagement. Drop the sear down and it fires. Now lastly, we're going to partially disassemble the feed assembly. So the top little protrusion here is connected to part of the feed mechanism. There's a cam down below that cycles this piece right and left. We want to line this square tab up with the hole in this feed spring. There we go. And this is a big leaf spring that puts tension on the feed mechanism. We'll pull that out. And then this huge thing is the cam. These two surfaces are controlled by the bolt and rock this back and forth to feed cartridges. So you can see the 2 cams on this piece ride right here on the bolt. They drop down, and then spring tension from the feed assembly pulls this back up so it can cycle back again. You can see how absolutely massive all of these components are compared to a lot of other machine guns. There's very little on this to break, which is something to be said for it. So we're going to go ahead and reassemble this now. We were practicing with it a bit before starting the video, and our current record time is about half an hour to put it back together. So I'm going to see if I can get this back together, and the goal here is 2 minutes. So historically, this is basically the same gun as the US Benet-Mercier, and one of the big argument against it was that when it was first used in combat by US troops was against Pancho Villa, who raided some forts in the middle of the night, and the soldiers kind of screwed it up, jammed up the guns, and then tried to disassemble them in the middle of the night, and it didn't work well for them. So we're going to see if I can do this a little better than the average untrained US soldier. So, here we go. First step is going to be the cam piece. This goes in this way. Clears that. And and drops down. Now we have our leaf spring. That drops in. You have to line up this square piece to get the leaf spring in. Now I'm going to mount the firing pin in the bolt. It comes in the top and rotates back and forth. Then this bolt sits on top of the bolt carrier here. So there's our function. And this has to be locked all the way over to the left in order to fit into the gun. You do have to lift the feed mechanism lever up so that we can snap the bolt all the way in. Next up is the recoil spring. Fits in there. Lower housing. I'm going to put the two lugs in place. Drop the recoil spring into its housing. It goes up. Push it forward a little bit. It snaps up in place and comes back. And we lock it in place with the retaining screw. I shouldn't say this is going well because then the other foot's going to drop. Then we have our charging handle assembly. It's going to go in. Rotate it to the D and then down. Lastly, buttstock goes on. And, a moment of truth, move it to cocking. And there you have it. And I'm glad we did that all in one take. I actually managed to pull it off. I wouldn't want to try it in the dark being shot at by Pancho Villa, though. Alright, so hopefully I made that look easy, but I can assure you that there is lots of off-camera time that went into it. We would really like to thank Steve Hill of Spotted Dog Firearms in Phoenix, Arizona, for letting us take a look at this and disassemble it. And I'm glad we were able to get it apart, because otherwise I think I'd have had to buy it. This gun is actually for sale. If you would like to pick it up and own it yourself, it's quite an interesting piece of history. Go ahead and contact Steve at Spotted Dog. We'll have some contact information in the text below. And I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. We'll have more interesting videos coming up at Forgotten Weapons.